What's up, guys? In today's video, we're talking about impulse responses. What the heck are they, and how can we use them? Let's get into it. I got a package in the mail from my dude James over at Gelbertone Audio. Let's check it out. See what it is. Oh, snap. What? Swag. Thanks for the shirt, James. I appreciate that. I'll definitely rock this thing. It's a nice, comfy material too, man. You can't beat a quality shirt that feels good, right? Speaking of merch, this month, September 2021, Madman Music's doing its first ever merch giveaway. I'm giving away 2 Madman Music hoodies. Check down in the description, there's gonna be a link to a video that I've talked about it, explaining all the rules and everything that you need to do. Head over, watch that video, do the stuff, help share this channel, help spread the word about Madman Music, and you will get yourself the chance of owning a sweet new hoodie for free. That's not the only thing I got from James. He also sent me his brand new gnarly cab IRs. But before we jump into those, what are IRs? IRs, impulse responses. Let's see what Google has to say. Google has to say, in signal processing, the impulse response or impulse response function of a dynamic system is its output when it's presented with a brief input signal called an impulse. More generally, an impulse response is the reaction of any dynamic system in response to an external change. None of that makes any sense. In short, IRs, impulse responses, these things are essentially cab simulators. The way that we're going to use it in today's video is a cab simulator. Impulse responses have a lot of uses, even outside of cab sims and using them in your computer for recording or with your Axe-Fx or with your Kemper. There's a lot of other uses. You can use them to emulate rooms with reverbs and a lot of really very cool, fun stuff. Today we're not getting into that aspect of it. We're just going to focus on what an IR is and what it means to a guitar player. Now, the process of making an IR is actually really interesting. What they will generally do is mic up a guitar cabinet with whatever mic variation you decide to go with. They'll then use something like a very clean power amp, maybe like a PA power amp, something that is just totally flat. The flatter, the better. This way there's no extra color changing the sound of the cabinet itself. And then what they'll do, they will send a millisecond worth of white noise through the power amp at a considerably loud volume, and it will just give a little pop. So it sounds like you just stuck your finger into the electrical socket and just got zapped real fast. That's all it is. It's all the pop. And that little tiny speck of white noise is recorded. Then with a little bit of phase shifting and flipping some stuff around and some audio engineering stuff that we're not going to get into, they can then take that and turn it into a file that you can upload into any IR reader and then use that, and it will emulate perfectly to the T the cabinet that you've just captured. I don't know who thinks of this stuff. This is some serious mad scientist stuff. I'm not sure who thinks of this stuff, but thank God they did, because not only are impulse responses really awesome for the recording environment so that you can basically have a catalog of cabinets that you can just queue up at any time without ever having to actually own the original cabinet, but that also means that exact same functionality is available to those gigging musicians that are out there on the road. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. In your DAW, all you have to do is use an IR loader. Lancaster Audio has a great free IR loader. I'll link it below. And from here you can use basically any amp you want with it. But if you're a gigging musician, there's a number of things that you can do using IRs that will actually make your life way easy. For those that are rocking gear like the Line 6 Helix, the Kemper, the Axe-Fx, all you guys should be very well versed in IRs by now, because those particular devices are set up specifically to completely take away the need for a full-blown amp. With a floorboard controller, it can do everything. You can connect it directly to the PA via an XLR cable and send your process signal to front of house without ever needing an actual amp on stage. Or you could do like I've done and make a bit of a hybrid between the two of them. I use a real amp on stage but I'm also using the Line 6 HX effects, and in that I have my signal split off so that it goes to a DI box that's underneath my pedal board, that in the Helix I've loaded an IR that sends that signal out to front of house, so I have a real amp on stage, but I don't need to mic it because underneath my pedal board I'm sending a direct signal that's going to sound better than any mic that would be on my actual amp anyway. It's a clean, direct signal. No room noise, no nothing. And I can't kick it on stage, which I have the tendency of doing, because if you've ever seen me playing live, I'm walking back and forth, I'm all over the place, and I end up kicking my mic stand basically every show. If it's within kicking distance, I'm gonna kick it. So using an impulse response is really helpful because it can sort of get rid of all of these potential issues on stage, especially in your live show. But not only that, you can essentially take any cabinet in the world with you anywhere. How awesome is that? So I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's jump into the DAW, let's load up these gnarly cabs, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll jam out a couple of riffs, and we'll see if that helps you understand what impulse responses are a little bit better. Alright, so I've just opened up my DAW, and opened up Lancaster Audio's Pulse IR loader. And just to briefly kind of go over this a little bit, it's a fairly simple setup. All you really need to make sure that you do with this is click on External IR, and then you can go ahead and load whatever IR you want to use. In this case, we're using the gnarly cab. Thanks again, James. Check down in the description. You're also going to find some information on how you can get a hold of this pack yourself. But let's blast through a couple of these and just kind of hear the difference in the sound. Now, James explained to me that all of these different voicings are coming from the same Mesa Boogie cab. However, he's gone in post and tweaked some things and made each voicing sound very unique and very usable. So let's blast through a couple of these and hear what they sound like. Starting with just the regular gnarly cab number 1. Here we go. Nice, man. That sounds like... I feel like that's basically where you would rock that particular cab sim. Sounds super deathcore. Alright, moving on to number 2. Much more present, a bit nasally, but that's great in a mix. You could totally use a sound like this. Reminds me of a bit of like a Marshall sound, kind of. It's got a little bit of that honkiness to it that really cuts through a mix. This might be great for something like a lead tone. Alright, let's check out number 3. Nice. Let's hear number 4. So far, number 4 is my favorite. For some reason, it's got just like a nice, balanced mix of a little bit of that mid-range warmth with enough bite, but not too much. No screechy high end. And it's nice that this voicing isn't so heavy in the bass. I think I'm going to use this one later on in a little jam. Checking out the last one, number 5. Let's have a listen. Nice. I think out of all of them, that's probably, from the sound of it to me, number 5 kind of sounds the most natural. Maybe I'm wrong. James, let us know down in the comments what's going on with your cab setup. But to me, this sounds like it's the most open. So that's pretty cool. The gnarly cab pack has basically all the voicings that you would need in a recording situation. I can hear some really great voicings for rhythm stuff and some really cool stuff for leads. And just a reminder, you only really need to use 1 amp or 1 amp sim with this. So you can have up to 5 voicings using 1 amp. That's pretty rad. And it's really powerful in the DAW. When you're recording and you want to be able to just snap into a new sound or have a new voicing, say you're going from a rhythm sound over to a lead sound on a different channel, copy the channel, keep all the same plugins, and all you have to change is the specific cab model that you're using. Alright, now that we've checked out all of the different voicings, let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like in a mix. Alright, cool. So that's basically how you can make use of using an IR in the DAW when you're recording. You can add a few different voicings, you can really play around with stuff. It gives you essentially endless possibilities. And as I mentioned before, you can take this thing on the road with you by sticking any of these IRs into any kind of modern guitar processor. Line 6, Kempers, Axe Effects, all of these guys do that. They're the new Sans Amp, literally. I hope you've enjoyed this tune. It's actually going to be this month's jam track on Patreon. So if you're interested in mixing this thing yourself and tweaking all your own settings and making it sound your own, head over to patreon.com/madmanmusic and join the crazy tier. You'll get all the track stems that you can drop into your own DAW and tweak to your heart's content. Mix on your own, add layers, do anything you want. I've also revamped all the other tiers on Patreon, so there's a little something for everybody. Head over there, patreon.com/madmanmusic, and sign up. This will ensure I can keep bringing you great content on a weekly basis. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do me a favor, hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff like this on a weekly basis. And drop me a comment down below. Let me know what kind of IRs you're using. Tell me about your recording setup at home. And until next time, peace! There's going to be lots of bloopers on this one. So, God, this chair makes so much noise, man. I don't know if any of them are funny, though. I'd like to get this video done sometime this year. Christ's sakes. You know, I just got back into the studio down here. So that's pretty cool. The gnarly... Man, it's been a tough couple of weeks. There's a huge bug flying around in here. Bugs. Awesome. It's cool living in the woods. Become a patron, please. Become a patron. I need the help. Do it. Please. Patron. Patreon.com.